Night Owls to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting moonlit podcast. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We break down fantasy, romantasy, dark romance, and thriller novels.
Oh yeah, all things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, maybe a little morally gray, and spicy. I like it. Okay.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, character breakdowns, fan theories, and more. And this is your content warning. This podcast contains mature themes and discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and descriptions of mature romance, as well as depictions of violence and many more other intense subject matter, especially tonight. So this podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Going forward from here, there's going to be lots of spoilers in this series. This is a 3-book series, the Into Darkness series, 2 of which books are out. We are covering Lights Out tonight, which is the first book in the Into Darkness series by Navessa Allen. Consider this your spoiler warning. While we'll mostly be 100% focused on Lights Out, we will mention a couple of things from the other 2 books that we know of, kind of some up and coming. But yeah, consider this your spoiler warning.
Let's get cozy because the best stories are told after dark.
That's right. All right. So we got the drink of the episode, and I'm calling this the Morally Black, even though it's blue.
Ooh.
So if you're seeing this, it's blue sparkly. It's got a tahine spicy rim. On the inside, which I can't really show you, is that skull ice is making a debut again, but it's not just ice. So let me tell you about it a little bit. Essentially what it is a blue margarita. So it's blue and sparkly. We have blue curacao in here. We also have, it's essentially a margarita. We have tequila. There is fresh lime juice. There's homemade simple syrup, which I'll show you how to make. And then the skull ice, I'm using air quotes for ice, is actually lime juice and a little bit more of the homemade simple syrup and some black food coloring. So if you know the book cover, we have a skull and blue, and it's like a signature mask. If you've read this book, you know that the Mask Man internet fandom has gone viral over this. Navessa is well known for this. There's tons of Books A Million right now is carrying a bunch of bookish merch related to this. Behind me, if you're watching this, the After Dark edition is behind me. So I thought I really wanted to do something with spice and with the book cover. So we have a blue sparkly drink with some gray sparkles in there, and then a black skull ice inside and the tahine rim. I mean, what's not to like? I felt like that was perfect for our drink. So I give you the Morally Black.
Yeah, I love that. I love the incorporation of the decoration, the mask, because in this book, Josh and his mask, his very signature privately made mask that fits only his face that he's obsessed with.
You're totally right. That's spot on. And the mask is something that has gone viral several times. It's super famous in the book talk space, talking about dark romance. And it just seemed to fit. I felt like I couldn't do a drink for this book without doing something about the mask. Of course, I could have done something with the knives or something like that, but I was just like, what can I do creative that is symbolic of what everyone already knows this book for?
Ooh,
and that's the mask.
A knife handle with simple syrup dripping down it.
Oh,
down
an
it.
idea.
That would
okay.
Yeah.
That could have been a cool garnish on the rim. That'd have been cool. Next time. Yeah. So that's our drink of the episode. Tonight, again, we're exploring Lights Out by Navessa Allen. So whether you're reading along with us or you're just here for the book talk, we are glad that you're here. What I wanted to do, Michelle, because we kind of cover our dark romance books the same kind of way we cover our thrillers, we don't really do a huge deep dive. And we typically, the books are not as long as our 600, 700, 800 page, romantasy and fantasy books. So not to say that there's not a lot of depth to this book, there is. But the thought was, why don't we just do our ratings? We'll do our overview. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about what's coming up next. So that's kind of where we're going to go with tonight's episode. So let's kick it off with our ratings. So for me, I gave this, in the dark romantasy space, to me, this is a 5-star. I commend Navessa for being able to do something that became a fun read, even though it's really dark. I enjoyed reading this. I laughed out loud a lot. I related to our female main character. I thought there was a lot to the story that was fun, and I read it so fast. Like, I had to finish reading it. It was just a good time. Caught up, another one of hers, great time. But right now, rating this one, I would say it's a 4 on the spice at least. Like, I would give it a 4. And then I would say it's a 5 for stars. So 4 in spice doesn't necessarily mean it was like good or bad spice. That just means like the amount of spice. So for me, I would say it was definitely a spicy book. And of course, you're getting into dark romance. You've got all your triggers, all these other things kind of going on with it. But I thought it was a great book. So that was my rating. What's yours?
I would give it a 4 in terms of star rating. I did
So much
love
harsher than me.
the characters. I am.
You're such a harsher
I did love the
judge.
characters, and Josh's interior monologue was hilarious. Just the entire time, because he's like, "Fuck, why'd I do this?" The entire time he's like arguing with himself as he's figuring out what his next step is to try to like dissuade Allie from figuring out he's the masked man from Instagram, or not officially Instagram, but social media. And there's just I don't know why I didn't give it a 5. I'll be honest, because
Rude.
for me, like Butcher and Blackbird's a 5. I think they're very similar in terms of style. So I listened to both of them first, obviously through Audible, and both voice actors are great, but I really just vibed more with the Butcher and Blackbird voice actor, and so maybe that's why I'm just like, it's like almost a 5, but it's not quite.
So 4.5. Are we upping it to at least a 4.5?
Sure, I'll give it a 4.5.
From a 4.
I'll at least add a 0.5 to it, because it does have I like the romantic comedy aspect of it. I did like how Navessa Allen addressed trauma in terms of what Allie has gone through and what Josh has gone through, which is some pretty fucked up stuff. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Well,
this was about 4 for me.
Okay. Yeah, and I think you're pretty spot on in the general masses of Goodreads. Out of 75,000 ratings, just under, it's at a 4.11. So it's definitely high up there. That's high. And for a dark romance, this is definitely one of those ones that went really mainstream and kind of broke the mold. And we thought for those reasons alone, and also because we enjoyed the book, that this would be such a great book to cover for us. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to talking about it more. And yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So let's look at some major themes that are useful with Lights Out. Obviously, it's a dark romantic comedy, and it centers a lot around trauma, obsession, blurred boundaries. That's a very big thing here. Like,
yes,
what is an actual boundary? Is stalking bad? But if stalking is bad, if I'm doing it for the right reason, is it actually bad? Then fantasy versus reality, because we have a lot of the play of social media. And, people can be who they want behind a screen, but when, you're out of the screen, shit gets real. And really power dynamics in terms of intimate relationships. So we have Allie, who is a trauma nurse, and she has these dark fantasies with this masked and online persona, which makes sense for her because she's a trauma nurse. She sees like blood and gore all the time. So it honestly made so much sense that her sexual kink is something a little bit more on the extreme side, because it's not just masked men. It's like masked men with like weapons and stuff. She needs that a bit of bite to her spice, if you will.
Yes.
We're not just talking about jalapenos. These are like habanero peppers that she needs.
Knives. You
and
can
then
just say it. Knives. Yeah. We're talking about knives. Yes.
And then we have Josh, and he's like the faceless man. He's the social media figure who's mysterious, and he just, no one sees his face because he has this unique mask, but he has, abs for days and muscles. So complete thirst trap. Honestly, tattoos, that's who he is.
Covered in tattoos. Oh yeah.
And his past, he has a very, very dark family past because his dad was a serial killer. So, talking about daddy issues here.
Yeah, it's not good for him.
It's really important that Navessa Allen gives us a laundry list of trigger warnings. So obviously they include stalking, home invasion, privacy violations, medical trauma, and abuse history, but there's a whole list in the book on her website that just goes through that. So make sure you check your triggers. If you have not finished reading this book, there's gonna be spoilers, but make sure you also check your triggers when you're ever diving into dark romance.
Right. And on that note too, you know, if you can't listen to this episode because of some of that graphic content that we cover, we understand. We totally get it. Do not subject yourself to something that makes you uncomfortable. You know, we'll be here. There's plenty of other content of ours that we would love for you to listen to. So don't feel like you're doing us any favors. You absolutely do not have to continue at this point if any of those above or anything listed on her website are things that are a no-go for you. We get that. I will say, though, while it's graphic, it intertwines with humor a lot. And in this book, too, one of the best parts that I really liked is that it's dual point of view. So you kind of understand that even though Josh is seemingly doing something pretty terrifying and Allie doesn't really know how to cope with it, you're with Josh on this ride. So you know that his intent is well intended and that he isn't this like crazy killer, but Allie doesn't know that. So kind of, I mean, he's imperfect.
No.
Yeah. Well, he's not going to hurt her. You get what I'm saying?
No.
So it's like there's this line of understanding.
Morally
that,
gray, leaning more into black.
For sure.
He's more like morally, yeah, I would say he's like morally black with like a couple drops of white paint on him, just mixed in, make it a little bit lighter.
It's either a very light black or a very, very dark gray. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Like your leggings, if you wash them too much and then you get new leggings, you're like, oh, these aren't the same color.
Yeah, the leggings thing. I don't like when they turn that color. But in this case, that's Josh. Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Just use leggings.
So let's
Josh
get into
is
our
better than
characters
that.
a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Let's get into our characters a little bit. So we have Allie, which she talked about already. She's a trauma nurse. She's grappling with a lot of family trauma. We didn't really know truly like that she was from a mafia family till the end of the book. So we know that she's from a mafia family and that she has some connections to the mob, which helps them out later. And the way when I first read the cover of this book, the couple that slays together stays together, I didn't think they were actually going to slay together, which is probably
It's
dumb
dark
on
romance.
my part. Yeah, I know. But I just like was like, oh, cute. Like what a witty thing to write, What it tells you, this is me again falling for the silly things I fall for, where it'll say like directly on the front cover, they're about to get into some shit here. But like when you start reading it, I felt like I was we were skating somewhere so differently that I guess I just didn't really see it coming. But yeah, they definitely slay together. That is a true statement. They get themselves into a sticky mess with that and have to call on Allie's family. Josh is an online hacker, and that's what he does, like as his profession. And he's also, though, this masked social media persona. It's a huge part of his personal identity that he does this. But he is the son of an infamous serial killer, and that's definitely an issue for him. So we see him kind of grapple with that. The plot takes place, we're in a city, and there's a couple different references to the city that we're in, although it's not exclusively identified. We have the dual perspective going back and forth. I think this balances this book really nicely. I also think that helps tremendously in Caught Up. And I think stylistically, it helps in dark romance in general. But the way Navessa writes her male characters and female characters, they're funny people. And I think that's what I really loved about Bryn's writing and in general, her take on dark romance is they're funny. Like the shit they say and do is funny. And so kind of that humor takes away the edge of it being just exclusively, truly, really dark. And granted, there's plenty of those books out there if you want to read them, by the way. If you don't want humor in your dark romance, there's a whole plethora of non-funny dark romance out there. But Navessa does not give that to us. She definitely picks characters that get into some situations and they're like, what the fuck? And like I'm like laughing and smiling with them and some of the shit that they get themselves into. I don't know about you, Michelle. Like, what were your thoughts with that?
Because you mentioned Bryn Weaver. Bryn Weaver's literally writing about serial killers. So you have to have that like funniness to them, that comedy, or it's like we're literally just butchering people, which that's some people's cup of tea. So, but it adds just that sort of balance in terms of like gore versus like, you know, people thinking other shit is funny or disgusting. Here, because the darkness of this one is very different in terms of like, yes, there is murder, but they're not serial killers, you know? It's more of like a,
No.
oh shit, accidental type thing. Like, oh, fuck, we did that, and now we have to figure it out.
Didn't mean
so
to.
the dark, we don't know how to place duct tape. The dark romance or the dark aspect of this is more into like the stalkerness, and maybe you know, maybe I just don't like Stalker. Stalker's weird to me, and I think maybe that's why I was just like, this isn't my type of dark romance. I do love the characters and everything, but having the funny, like listening to Josh's internal monologue, like literally him grappling with himself, like this is kind of some fucked up shit, but like, you know, I'm gonna still do it because Allie needs me to protect her. She's stupid. She ordered this security system and I was easily able to hack it. It's like, bro, like stop hacking her shit. Just leave her alone.
Exactly. Like, sir, please get a grip on yourself. My God.
Please. Yes. So yeah, the stalker obsession, like I do like obsessive, but like to the point where like your man had a camcorder teddy bear watching her.
It's a bit much.
You know? But then he's like, I turned my feet off, you know? So to give her privacy, it's like, you get what?
No, like, but he was really about that though. Josh was very like, I will not watch her like in certain moments that she needs to like be undressing or so. He's like, I'm not a pervert. Like I'm not gonna creep on her, you know, like that. But I just want to make sure she's okay. Like, let me watch her work cam while she's at work. Let me hack into the mainframe. Really
frustrated with me.
Yes. Hop into the mainframe of her work ER environment and make sure everything's going okay, because she wasn't able to function before. And it's like, Josh, get a grip on yourself, for fuck's sake. And I do like the fact that later in the book, he even is like, man, I really went too far. Like, I should have never like breached her trust that way. So he has a moment of,
oh shit,
I went too far. And so that's good, because oftentimes like the morally black male main character in a dark romance apologizing is really few and far between. And there's one scene in particular in Caught Up that we'll talk about that I really enjoyed related to that. And we'll talk about that in that book. But related to that, Navessa gives us those feel-good moments of the main character realizing that they're fucked up and that they shouldn't have treated the female main character the way they did, which is very satisfying. Getting on track here to the story, now that we've segued all over the fucking place, let's get back to it. So we meet Allie at the very beginning, and we find out that she's dealing with her own traumas, and she deals with this using fantasy, specifically spicy fantasy, as her escape, which is important because she follows anonymous masked men, which I didn't know this was like a whole world, but girl, it is a whole world. It is a whole world on the internet. It is a big thing.
Whole world before Navessa Allen. Like this, like Navessa Allen like monetized on it by creating this novel, but like this is like a major kink of people, and I'm like, Halloween's your time to shine, babes. Like this is do we just get off at Halloween?
Well, no, but then she also did Caught Up on the biker guy. You know what I mean? Like then she was like, oh, biker guys and bookish babes and biker
Mafia,
guys are like
biker guys
specifically
very specific.
She knows her
Mafia,
demographic.
Biker guys.
Okay, the girl knows what she's doing, and I didn't realize how big of a deal it is. But anyways, Allie's into this whole world. She follows the specific one in particular that she absolutely like really likes, and she comments on his stuff. And she has a cat named Fred, who we love.
Fred is very important.
Fred is important, and we love Fred. And then Josh, of course, we have a faceless man. He's his mask persona. And what I really like, too, about the way this story is written, I love a good text string. And I love that dynamic of, like, reading who's going to respond to what and feeling kind of like you're reading into you, like, someone's private messages because you're the reader and you're getting to see it from this perspective. And you're like, ooh, what's he going to say? What's she going to say? I love that type of stuff. And this book gives you a lot of that. You get a lot of texting back and forth. You get a lot of that kind of... Like, 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't really read a lot of books that had texting in them. But with a lot more modern romance, contemporary romance, all of that, you start to get those types of things, and I'm here for it. I enjoy it. I think it adds a level of tension and storytelling that we didn't really have before. And because it's not a phone call, it's a message where you have to literally wait for the response. It's fun. It's fun to read, and I like that dynamic. We see that a lot here. But Josh has a roommate, Tyler, who we find out dated Allie. And his public persona and mask persona are really different. His public persona is very kind of outgoing, flirty. What I mean by public persona is like this is a masked self. So, anonymous. Is very flirty, knows what he's doing, takes all these, pictures, and his face is never seen, has knives in a lot of his photos and like, let me chase you type of stuff going on, right? And
Also,
there's
kink I didn't know.
Really?
Let me chase you through the woods.
King. Oh,
Yeah,
specifically through the woods. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And
Yep, it's a thing.
I wasn't, yeah, same. I have learned a lot. This has been a journey for me as well. But anyway,
Thank you, Navessa.
so yes, thank you, Navessa. He, in his actual life outside of social media is extremely private. His roommate, Tyler, is basically the only one who knows who he is. And a lot of that is something you don't understand for a while, but it's related to his dad. So he like struggles a lot with this internal conflict of worrying that he's going to become like his father, who was a serial killer. And this guy was violent, manipulative.
Human burgers.
He looks just like him is another problem. He's like, I look in the mirror and I feel like I look just like my dad. Like there's just a bunch of stuff to this, which of course he's tall, dark, and handsome, obviously. And so it just is something that he really, really has a hard time with. And then Allie, you heavily uses this fantasy. Like she goes on his page a lot and in this whole world. And she starts watching some of the stuff he's doing. And she starts to realize that there are images of her room in the masked man's photos online, which we come to find out later why this is. So Tyler, his roommate, is her ex, but she goes over there and has a conversation and tries to like, I don't know, sort of rekindle that or whatever to a certain degree, and was like, I'm really into this. And like, he's not. Tyler explains this to Josh, whom Allie has not met and doesn't know.
Like, oh shit, yeah.
And he was like, oh, really? And he's like, well, are you guys like together? And he's like, no, I haven't, he has a new girlfriend or whatever. They're just friends now. And this was however long ago that they had dated. And yeah, so the whole time I'm like, Tyler fucking knows. He knows who Josh is. He's just like not saying that he knows. And
there's no way. He doesn't know.
And Josh is like paranoid, like, oh my God, does Tyler know? Like, bro, your roommate knows. Like, you think he doesn't like hear?
Guys can be oblivious sometimes, though. They can literally be oblivious. It's like, man, he just likes the lights off, and he like gets like these special orders of things, like his headboard and whatnot. Like he's just very particular. That I can get.
He's just into masks.
Sometimes,
wears them on his own time. Maybe he just doesn't open his mail. It just comes in a black bag and he just doesn't know. I mean, maybe. Sure. Possibly.
Sure.
Anyway, Tyler's not into this. Allie's like, oh, fuck. Like, okay, whatever. Fine. And, she doesn't feel bad about it per se, but she's just like, okay. But then she's literally watching his stuff, Masked Man, Josh, and then he's in her room. And she's like, the fuck? What is going on?
Why are you in my room?
Yeah.
That would be, what would you do? Like, if you're just watching something on like social media, like, that's my fucking house.
I don't know. That was probably part of the book that I really couldn't relate to, because my reaction would not be the same as Allie's at all. But I also like, how do I put this? Like, I didn't even know that this whole world was a thing. So I guess I would really need to put myself into like her shoes to try to understand, because she like really likes this guy, has followed this guy for years, comments on all his stuff. Like, how like people will meet someone they've seen online and they act like that person knows them, but like you've never met them. you don't know
Right,
them at
right.
all, like a celebrity, right?
Mhm.
So like I don't know if that makes it, I don't want to say different because it's still fucked up, but like I don't know. I think there's just how she handles it is probably not how I would handle that. What about you?
Y- Yeah, no, no. If
Yeah, it's just yeah, no.
and again, it's just because mass kinks aren't my obsession. So she's probably like the entire time going through
Wait,
this, she's
are
like,
or are not?
"This is aren't with an
Okay, okay,
NT,
okay.
aren't."
Oh, okay.
To clarify, but the entire time she is like, "This is fucked up, but I'm kind of turned on by this." Like the entire time, like she's like battling this too.
Yeah.
And the entire time, if that was me, I'd be like, "What the fuck? Let me burn this whole house to the ground." Like there's no way in hell. And
The
this is
way I would be
also why
staked
I have
out
dogs.
at my house,
I have
like waiting. Also, yeah, don't have a
Right.
cat, people. Have a dog or multiple dogs.
This is yes. They sound big and scary. No one's entering this fucking house. And just gonna post up half naked doing thirst traps in a room. So
Look, maybe this is just we're married ladies, okay? So I feel like this
I missed the boat
is
10 years ago.
something. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But Allie
Yep.
isn't in Allie's a little bit, I mean, she's not in her early 20s, but she's
No,
definitely
it's
like
not about age. It's about like
yeah,
time frame of when you were in your relationship and what the dating and all
true.
that world looked like. Like right now, if we were dating, this is part of like I think culturally we're at a different shift of like society talking about norms of like talking about kinks clearly because you have all these different profiles and this is very popular,
Right.
you know. So I just don't think 10, 15 years ago that was not, I don't want to say it was untrue. It just wasn't at the level of like popularity that it is at now. And so it's like, it wouldn't even have occurred to me. So I can't relate to Allie in that way is what I'm saying. But I can't say that like if, you know what I mean? Like if you had been watching somebody who you knew for 2 years and you kind of like saw the things they posted and talked about and things like that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you
They were
don't
in my
react
house.
like that. I don't know. Like maybe you, I mean, if they were in your house and they're still a stranger, yeah, we've got a problem. Yeah, I don't think I would react the same way Allie does. But I'm trying to
No.
like dig into a little bit. I'm trying to give her some thing. But again, this is why this is a book and we don't condone breaking and entering in any form or
No,
fashion.
we do not. We do not.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So the rest of the relationship, so from here on out, like that was their introduction. Now we're blurring the boundary between fantasy and reality up until this point, or up from here on out. So their relationship escalates with messaging banter through social media platforms, and their fantasies move towards more physical, real world encounters and stuff like, thirst traps and whatnot. Josh is stalking, entering Allie's space. There are privacy infringements, like hacking her laptop and her, like you mentioned, her work cameras and all the things. So he has all eyes on her all the time. And he like mocks her too, because like I mentioned, she orders like security cameras and stuff like that. And he's just like, those suck. Here's better ones because I was easily able to hack them. And I hacked your laptop. You can shut your laptop, but I can still watch you from the camera that I place. Like, all kinds of ugh. But Josh, he
Definitely
frames
crosses
it like, I'm
several
just trying to
lines.
protect her. I'm just trying to protect her. She doesn't, what would she do without me? Her locks are so easy to break into. She needs this new deadbolt that is clearly better. It's like, thanks. I didn't know that was something that was an issue in my house.
Yeah.
And Allie's the entire time like, this is fucked up, but like also kind of hot. Like, it's
she's like
the
kind of into
boundary.
it. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like in her head, she's like, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. But does it have to be wrong? Like, it's so wrong it feels right type thing.
I think too, like there's this banter between them. They are messaging, like there's an awareness to a certain degree. And they're like messaging on their social media app. And then she still doesn't know who he is, but she kind of has I would say maybe an undeserved level of trust towards him. And she knows this. Like she talks about it. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You should be going to the cops, Allie. Like she literally says this stuff to herself. Mm-hmm. So it's not like she's not aware that where the road she's going, but she doesn't do that. But again, I think this talks to like her kinks too, which we've talked about, but also like her trauma and her background, and she's from a mafia family, and I think she just has a different way that she approaches life and kind of gets a high off the danger of this. I mean, clearly she's into this. She's
especially with her job, you know,
Yep.
she's always functioning at like such high stress anxiety levels at all times, and she'll work like crazy shifts, hours and hours on end. So this is her level of functioning is way higher in terms of like, you know, cortisol levels than the average person because of her job. So this is, it makes sense why being stalked would be the thing that needs to get her going, because, you know, just normal stuff doesn't do it for her. That's why Tyler didn't work out, because Tyler was like vanilla in terms of like just average.
Not enough.
And she's like, he's great, but like, okay, this is kind of boring. So, you know, we've talked about Josh, how he like battles internally, like watching her, you know, am I like my father, that sort of thing. And he does draw the line. He does not watch her, you know, have some little one-on-one fun with herself and her, whatever her toy of choices. But Allie then battles with her intrigue, and she realizes, wait, Tyler's roommate was a hacker. Maybe he can help me find my stalker. And, you know,
like, I'm over this. Let me try to figure it out.
Yep.
And she also kind of feels like from a police perspective, she doesn't really want that kind of attention, and she doesn't know if they're going to even be able to like actually help her. So, not to say again, this is a book. This is a book. Trigger.
Go to the
warning.
police.
Yes. This is not normal. Do not be like Allie. This is a book. Okay. Thank you. Public service announcement. It's a book. I digress. She goes to Tyler, who's like, knows that his roommate finds this hacker, and she meets Josh. And she's like, maybe he can help find this guy. She has this idea, like, I'm going to reach out to Tyler's roommate. I remember that he's the stalker. She doesn't actually meet him yet, but she has the idea. So it kind of starts there.
So Allie then has like this crazy 40-hour work shift after a mass shooting. She needs a lot of rest. And when she's leaving the hospital, her car is running and Josh is inside with his little mask on. And they're like communicating via text. And the way I was frustrated with this is like they're just like texting each other. I'm like,
yeah,
that would be so frustrating to watch. Like, are you serious? He's just right there in your car. And he like, her gun is on the seat. Like, as he's like trying to give her like a power move by like putting her weapon on the seat, and a knife, and giving her a form of defense. And then as they're riding, she ultimately decides like, fine, I'll ride in the car with you. Which, first, never jump in a car with a stranger. Never. This is like,
so why is he in your car? The fuck?
Yeah.
Red flag city. Okay, guys? Red flag city.
So many red flags.
So many.
Never jump in a car with a stranger, no matter how many muscles they have.
Then you end up liking Josh at the end. Okay, but look, this is
a book. This is a book, guys.
I remind you, this is a book.
I would say most stalkers who hijack your car and give you weapons probably don't make you homemade trail mix and apple slices.
They don't, which he did.
A snack. He does. And then she's like holding him at like knife point as he's driving, and he has like this voice changer in his mask too, so it like hides his voice, because she has interacted with Josh before because of being Tyler's roommate. So, you know, he just, you know, hides all the things. And moment turns into like some foreplay for them. But then she accidentally stabs him as, you know, she's, you know, giving pleasure to him. And you're just listening to me struggle through this.
Yeah.
You know, and then they get to her house, and then she stitches him right up, and he like, you know, lets her have a shower, and then goes to get her favorite bakery item and at like her favorite bakery, and shoveled her driveway, which is like, oh, that's sweet. She shoveled her driveway. You know, her favorite bakery item. You don't know this woman. and she just stabbed you on accident while there are so many conflicting things here.
Also, he's wearing a mask with a voice changer. Don't forget that part. And driving her car. But anyway, this is all fine. Okay? It's a dark romance.
Fine, it's fine.
This is fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. The things we overlook. So Allie's like, all right, enough with the games. I need to find out who this fucker is. Because she is kind of mad that she doesn't know who he is. And she does want to get to the bottom of it. Because now, after this interaction, she's like, this guy he either knows me or something. Like, how does he know all of this? Like, what the fuck? So while she was like turned on by the whole thing and like liked it, she was still freaked out by it, naturally. So, reason starts to kick in, and she's like, I'm going to go visit Tyler and Josh's apartment. And then she meets Josh again, and she's like, oh, he is pretty hot. Yeah. And then she's determined to find her stalker. And then Josh is like, oh, shit. What do I do now? Because it's me.
He had like this little plan. I liked his plan. Like he had like a text set up so it wouldn't seem like, when she's texting his phone, because she suspects it's him. Because he has an injury, and she's like, he has a freaking customized headboard in his room, and it's not like it's just tufts on it. Like there's like places for handcuffs and stuff. Like this is like completely customizable. Yes. And she's like trying to prove it by texting him, but like it's going to a different phone. So he like thinks he's so smart and stuff, but she's just like, I know it's you the entire time. And, same build.
Right.
I'm sure if he whipped it out, she'd have been like, same penis. Like,
I've seen that one before. I recognized it.
That's how she should have solved it right away. Like, whip it out. I need it. I need to see it right now.
So Allie's like now definitely okay with this, because she gets off her next shift and is like, why isn't he here? And the way I was like, girl, what do you mean? But also you're reading Josh's perspective at this time too. And so you're kind of like, Josh, why aren't you there? And then also like, wait a minute, you have to think about Hallie's perspective, who doesn't know who he is. And this is where I was saying, like, this is where that dual point of view, for those who have never read dark romance, that's why this one I think is so popular and successful, is because you get Josh's perspective right away. A lot of dark romances, you stay in the female main character, you stay in the person who is facing trauma or whatever it is, the darker portion for a while without really understanding the other elements of the other characters. And I think that's what works well with a lot of folks who have been like, I've never read dark romance. Dark romance isn't for me or whatever. And then they read Lights Out and they're like, hey, I actually like that. Like, what? Okay.
Right.
And I think that's part of the appeal of this book in particular.
Right, because I think when authors try to stick people in that main female point of view, it's to induce fear by the reader. So you're like going along with that character. But Navessa Allen isn't really trying to induce fear in us in terms of that. She's like, you see the duality of fear and sexuality and sensuality here the entire time. It's not like fear inducing and like traumatic for us as readers. So I think that's why this is like a good toe dip into dark romance. If you're just like, I don't need all of the romance, doesn't have to be dark. There's some dark elements, but the entire thing doesn't have to be, dipped in black ink. So
yeah. And I think that's true too to the Everything by Brynne Weaver, is that she interlaces dual point of view and uses that to help the reader almost feel more comfortable, safer, I guess, than maybe sometimes that the characters feel, which I enjoy reading because, like, look, I'm, real life is scary enough, okay? Like, I read thrillers, again, scary enough.
Right.
I think, that's not to say, like, I don't like a dark romance that has those elements, but I think this is almost a subgenre of dark romance, is Lights Out and Tourist Season, and those feel like they're their own, almost their own. The dark romantic
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I know for me personally, I like dark romance is still kind of like little newer for me. When the romantic element itself is dark, that's when I'm like, nope, I gotta peace out from this. But if they're doing like dark shit, like, you know, stalking isn't my favorite, but like, you know, murder, serial
Well-intentioned
killers,
stalking.
well-intentioned stalking, well-intended serial killers, then
Yeah.
that those dark elements are fine for me. It's when the romance itself is dark and there's questions on consent and that
Consent.
sort of thing, which we
Yeah.
don't see here
No.
at all, which I love.
So going back, when derailing in a good way, sure.
Always.
Allie comes back from the shift and she's like, why isn't he here? And he's supposed to be here. And there's a moment where she knows that she's being watched because he obviously has like shown her this multiple times. And she knows there's a camera somewhere in there. So she decides to tease him a little bit. Of course she does. And this is kind of where we start getting those higher pepper spices in this book. It is a dark romance after all. We have 4 peppers. There's definitely a lot of things going on. And some of it might have consensually involved a knife because he does appear. And they do have a moment. And there's
A long moment.
Yeah. Yes. There's a long moment there. You can go back and read it. It's a good time. If you're looking for a good time, go check it out. So if you did check it out, you know what we're talking about. And Allie is like also playing the game of, I need to find out his real identity. And she attempts to put a tracker on him, tries to take hair samples. But Josh is smarter than her and knows what she's up to because she has not been a super, spy like he has basically for like years. So none of this really works. Then there's Allie gets encountered by this other character, Bradley Bloom, and he's this wealthy man who's been accused of rape, and she kind of knows like how skeezy he is based on the conversation that he has with her. It's evident that the accusation pretty much stands just by the tonality of what he's saying, why he's there at work, and she just kind of remains professional. He keeps making these comments to her, finding her attractive, whatever. And because he's wealthy, he's extremely wealthy, he has like no filter and thinks that he can just say whatever he wants. And he does. There is another victim later that is a car accident victim. And we find out that she has a lot of trauma related to her mother's death. Josh meets up with her again and helps her find this relief through physical contact. And this is before she knows Josh, right? So there's moments where, she talks to him truthfully and they have all these dialogues and she's just still, she doesn't know who he is. And it's really starting to get to her at this point because she's like, all right, it was like all fun and games, but now you really know like deeply personal things. And I don't even know who you are. This is like starting to
You still
get
have a mask on.
much. Yeah.
Right.
Like this is like too much. He buys her this new bed because after one of the times they had together, this was necessary. They have another really intense, spicy moment, and she's just like, I'm kind of done with this. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What's the next step here? Where does this go? And he is very mindful of not taking things too far and kind of reading her needs and wants and like where the line is and being really good about, like you said, like this is not a dark romance that dips into the sexually dark or the sexually non-consensual. Josh is not that guy. That is not what we have here. There's a moment where Josh falls asleep and there's an alarm that wakes him up and it's her back door. And she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, what the fuck? And so he's like, no, Allie, you need to stay here in the bedroom. And we find out that it's Bradley Bloom. Great. Because now
with his murder kit.
Right. He is a murderer and he didn't like that she rejected him. He tried to flirt with her multiple times after he is an accused rapist and she rejected him multiple times and he didn't like that. So he decides to, get her full name and all of that, find out where she lives and break into her house in the middle of the night. Luckily, Josh is there and they tie him up at this point. And there's Josh's mask, like the voice changer is going in and out, like it's not working right. There's like all this stress and tension. And there's this moment where he just like, once the duct tape gets put on, they accidentally cover this guy's nose and mouth. Everything's kind of going awry at this point. And they kill him by mistake. They're like, whoops. I mean, this guy was a
he can't
murderer
breathe.
and a rapist, so
Rapist,
it's not all bad things. But yeah, it's like, oh, whoops, we killed him. And Josh is like, oh fuck, like I didn't mean to do that, and he has to rip the mask off and starts throwing up.
Yeah, in her bushes. And Allie's like, I love this quote by
humor.
Allie.
Yeah.
So she says, this is probably a bad time to gloat over the fact that I was right about your identity, isn't it? Because she's known it was him. She's suspected it was him the whole time. And he's just like, he's like this big tough guy. And obviously, killing someone, whether they're awful or not, like, having that, especially with the past with his dad, that's like a lot for him to process. But he's just like, ugh, the whole time, like cannot have it together. And she's like, she sees death all the time. So even though this was like happened in front of her, she's like, yeah, this is fine. He tried to kill me. So,
whatevs.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
He literally broke into my house to try to kill me and kidnap me while I was sleeping. So the empathy is definitely not there. And she's just like not fazed by this. Josh is like really struggling with this. But Allie comes up with a plan because Uncle Nico is available to go dispose of the body. And Uncle Nico will take care of this. So Allie and Josh arrive at Uncle Nico's mansion because of course they do. And we find out that Allie is related to the mob. Uncle Nico is like, yep, I'm going to take care of this. Does not like Josh at all for getting her kind of into this situation. And he has his bunch of his sons go and figure this all out, what they're going to do and take care of the body. They end up splitting up. Allie goes with her cousin to get her car cleaned, and Josh ends up staying back. And they have to start figuring out a plan to not have Allie and Josh linked to Brad, because remember, Brad is super wealthy. So this is not good that he was, had been murdered. He's a high profile person and people are going to notice that this guy is missing. So Josh ends up going with Junior and his men to Brad's house to try to hack his computer to like get rid of any evidence that he knew who she was or that had Allie anything to do with Allie. And this is where we get introduced to Junior, who is our male main character in book 2, Caught Up. So Junior gets introduced here. So we find out that Junior is definitely heavily involved in the mob with his father. And this is kind of our first introduction to him.
Right. So when they go to the house, there are already cops posted there. So like their plan kind of backfires and they have to circle back. Allie takes Josh's clean car to his apartment. He runs into Tyler, and then Allie's coworker, Veronica, actually ran Josh's DNA that one time before when she took the DNA and has confirmed that he's related to the Ken doll killer. And Tyler confirms that, that's his father, but it goes into like his past and how he's been trying to move past that his entire life because his dad did some really fucked up shit. I mean, imagine being, I think he was oh my God, 8 years old and opening a fridge and then you see a head and his dad fed human burgers to the block party, which is Josh is vegan because of that. He can't smell meat the same way. So awful, awful things. When Josh returns from Brad, she confronts him about his father. They share spicy time in the shower. And the truth and intimacy kind of solidifies their bond because now
but this is also,
basically all their trauma is on the table and
they know
all
who each other is
out.
Yeah. This is the first time that the way I was waiting for this moment when I read the book, I was like, oh, they're finally gonna everything's gonna work out. That's that moment that you're always waiting for in the book, because when she finds this out, it's it's pretty chilling to find out that what you were already afraid of could be true. So them having this really vulnerable, and I don't mean spicy, I mean specifically vulnerable, because this part was very vulnerable time, because he's never allowed somebody in that close to really understand that vulnerability. So they get this really vulnerable time, and then the shower spicy time for them is very intimate, and I think it's just something different than you
It's a different
saw
type of
previous.
intimacy,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
between them.
There's no game.
So
I feel like with the mask and all, it's kind of like a game. There's a cat and mouse kind of vibe to it. There's a game involved, and like it's psychological. It's kind of fun, and you don't know what's next. This was not that. The shower scene was very much a more traditional kind of a makeup sex scene, I guess you could say, but it wasn't really makeup because they didn't know each other. So now it's just more dynamic to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when they return to Allie's house, Junior's waiting for them. Josh is needed for another mission, which is hacking into Bradley's computer to eliminate incriminating evidence. So Allie demands on coming with them, which they all hate, but
Of course.
the two men, they agree as long as she stays in the van. So they're going on picture like a stereotypical stakeout mission where they have like this big van. And, you have like the guy in the chair that's navigate everything, and they have like the microphones in their ears and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So stereotypical.
Like a packed van.
I like this. This
fun.
was it was a fun scene. So Junior remains secretive about where Brad's body is to keep them safe. So the less they know, the safer they are. And a condition of all this help is Allie is expected to attend dinner every month with their family. Because after everything that happened with her parents, she kind of cut herself off from family for the most part. Uncle Nico isn't someone who's warm and fuzzy or that she goes to very often because of the mob ties. Yeah. So Josh and the crew of men break into Brad's home while Allie stays in the car with Junior. As soon as they enter the house, there's an overpowering stench of decomposition in the basement, which really adds to the intensity. Josh is trying to screw around on the microphones, and he keeps getting yelled at, keep the line clear, because he's just, I don't know, he's goofy. And the entire crew decides to abort the mission, but Josh is like, no, I need to get to this laptop to protect Allie. So they abort, and Josh stays. Allie ends up leaving the van, so she doesn't abandon
At this point,
Josh
I'm
either.
like,
so they're both fucked.
Yeah.
And
they have no
what's
part.
going to happen?
No ride. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Brad's parents arrive at the house, which confirms that they've been covering up for his behavior. They knew it smelled and everything in there, and they immediately go into Brad's office, which is where Josh is, because he's trying to clear, wipe away the laptop. And he has to, he's trying to pull the door so they don't come in. And he comes up with this plan Junior's team reactivates the house alarm. So he smashes the window, knowing it will trigger the alarm and will send police immediately to their house. And he jumps out the window, and him and Allie flee to the woods, leaving behind footprints in the snow. But he smashes into, he goes out the window, smashes into the front porch. He has bruised ribs and stuff. He's not okay. So they're limping out into the woods in winter. It's snowing. This is January time. So they're not in good shape, and they make their way to this meeting point. But patrol cars are in the area, eventually secure for them, and then they get into Junior's SUV, which Junior's scolding them for it, but ultimately it works out in their favor. So the police ultimately come to the house, and they find dead bodies of missing girls in the basement, because Brad is a murderer and he's a rapist, and he's been, he had dead bodies hidden in his basement. So
and his parents knew.
Allie, his parents knew. His parents been coming up for it. They end up trying to create a plan in terms of making it look like that Brad wasn't actually dead, but he was trying to flee the country. So basically they all end up in the clear in the end.
Yeah.
But Allie is obviously upset that her family easily just left Josh behind. But, and the mob, business is business. It's just business. So you can't take it personally. And Josh, because Allie was supposed to stay in the van, Josh promises consequences for Allie breaking her promise, which we love those consequences for her, which we'll see later on in the epilogue. And then Josh also confronts his past by telling Allie how he had found evidence of his father's behavior as a child.
Yeah, so towards the end, now Allie wakes up tied up to the bed. Josh is his masked alter ego. So we have this other Another spicy scene here, and Fred the cat is now traumatized by their behavior. He's like, I'm sick of y'all, this cat. And again, this is where Navessa uses this humor to kind of break up all this trauma and darkness that's going on. I mean, it's an Into Darkness trilogy, so we know there's darkness here, but she then uses this humor of, animal friend to kind of break this up. So it's pretty funny. Josh and Allie have to attend dinner at Uncle Nico's. So, they do. And Nico confirms that there's no link now to Allie or Josh. And she just doesn't trust her family. But we're in the epilogue. Allie sprints through the forest now as Josh hunts her down. And I mean, all I think about, so we live in Florida, and there's just like a lot of bugs here.
When we have shrubs, so Florida forest,
and it's not really
there's the shrubs.
Fun,
you can't run through them.
No.
You're like tripping over vines and stuff.
And there's like really deadly snakes here. I mean, this is like snow time. Like it's
water moccasins. There's swamp. There's
iguanas and shit. Like this isn't the place. I don't know. Like it's just not.
No, this definitely wasn't written with Florida in mind. This is definitely more northern state where woods are actually like trees are separated and you can actually like walk through them. In Florida, you can't walk through a forest at all.
No, it has to be like cleared out. Yourself. Yeah. It has to be cleared.
Then that defeats the purpose.
You have to, like make a trail. Right. It's not like this. Anyway. So moving on, I can't help but like when how like you read a book and you have to try to picture it yourself. Like I immediately had to go.
You can't, yeah.
North. I was like, this isn't happening here. There ain't no way. Josh catches her because of course he does, and there's just like playful banter, and of course, and he proposes to Allie, which is like the sweetest thing ever, and she says yes.
After he claims her in the forest, like this isn't like.
Yeah. Obviously.
It's not like I caught you, marry me. It's like I caught you, take your pants off.
Well, yeah. I mean, did you expect something different? I didn't.
No. I just want to clarify.
Yeah. But they're at an Airbnb, okay? So they emerge from the woods, they get back to the Airbnb, and they have their cat Fred and a new kitten, Maud, and everything's a mess. Of course it is. And now they're talking about building their life together. And it's just like joyous ending. So for what's next in this series, we, of course, have Caught Up, which is our next book that we're going to cover. And there's a third book as well, which is Game On, which releases March 31st of next year, which covers Tyler's story. So from a male main character perspective, Junior is who we go back to who we met in Lights Out. And then Tyler, who we also met in Lights Out, is who Game On is about. But we didn't meet Lauren until Caught Up, who's our female main character in Caught Up. But that's a very different story. And I think there's been a lot of talk about how different the books are. And I also think think it's really intentional for Navessa to do that. Is what are you going to do? You're not going to tell the same story 3 times. You've got to change it up. You have to explore elements of dark romance that you haven't talked about yet, because people are different and they're going to have different things that are for them or not for them.
Difference that they're going through too, these characters. It's a completely different. If you go into Caught Up thinking you're going to get Josh again, you're going to be, I don't want to say you're going to be disappointed, but it's going to take you a minute to really put yourself in the place of the characters. I think that's what a lot of people struggled with who did have negative reviews, is they went in thinking we'd have another golden retriever character. And there's only one Josh in the series.
Lauren is not Allie either. I mean, just they're very different people. And to expect that those would be similar, it just isn't. It makes sense to me that she would explore a different type of kink with her next book. It makes sense to me that she would just explore, a different type of morally gray. Yeah. And
Tyler's supposed to be vanilla.
She would really, I think she would just really like do something a little bit different. The Game On one is expected to be enemies to lovers, and I feel like Navessa is going to be really true to enemies to lovers because her first two books are not enemies to lovers in any sort of way. So that's something
No.
new that she's going to bring to Game On when it comes out in March. So the other things that are just stuff that we know Navessa does and it is popular for is just she like we said, she talks about a lot of humor, things like that just bring in elements that you don't always see in this space. And I think that she as an author is very outspoken and very involved with her fans and loves to be prominent in social media and respond to. I remember she reposted, somebody crocheted her a book cover blanket, like they made her like a big blanket that was the book cover of Lights Out, and she like fangirled and completely freaked out over it, like not believing that someone would make that. And I think that just makes her an incredible person, first of all, but that doesn't always happen with authors, especially once they get to a certain level. And Navessa has always kind of been there for her fans and been really supportive, and I think that kind of just makes reading her work kind of more fun. And she's really big on talking about trigger warnings and emphasizing that just because it happens in my book does not mean that this is this is a true red flag and you should not be expecting this in your relationship. Like, she's really clear about that, and I respect her a lot for making those distinctions.
I agree. So next is our mystery Q&A. These questions have not been shared with either of us prior to asking.
Okay, so Michelle, you're pregnant right now, as we know.
I am.
You just had your baby shower. Just had your baby shower. What is one baby shower game that's a hard stop? Please don't ever. I don't want to be part of it, and I don't want to play it for you.
It's the measuring of the belly. It's the measuring of the belly. I fucking hate that game. My first baby shower with my first one, I was forced to do it. And I was like, I don't want to play this game. They're like, come on, it's fine. And it's never a good thing to guess someone's size in inches. Because
when they're like quite literally at their largest ever.
Right. And people don't have concepts of what sizes actually are. At the time, it was one of my close friends, girlfriends. Now they're married and whatnot. But she was like, I thought 72 inches was like this. It's like, girl, no, that's not. So I think that game is awful. I think we should not do that, and that should not exist anymore because that doesn't make anyone feel good. It's just a lose-lose all around. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that for sure. I think any game that has to do with like physically measuring or guessing the weight or like anything like that, I am not here for. Any of those are
How big's the baby going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or if like in my case, I didn't do a gender reveal, so like nobody knew. So like a game was like, what do you think the gender is going to be? Like do an over under of like, all of that. I think sometimes some of the games are like too much. I'm like, do we really?
Oh, cringy.
Yeah.
No.
Like there's another one. It's fine. I guess it can be cute, but there's like one that's like, for those who don't know this, I'm sorry, but there's one that like you take a bunch of diapers and you melt a candy bar on there.
Oh yeah.
And you
have to
like
either smell or guess.
Smell them. Yeah. And like you guess what candy bar it is, which I guess can be fun, but it's also kind of like a bizarre game. Yeah. There's some weird games at baby showers, too. Okay? Like, oh it's yeah. Like, guess what the flavors are. I don't know.
Yeah. There's some interesting baby food flavors. There's like chicken curry and stuff like that. Which chicken curry itself, is it interesting? It's great food. But like I would never think like a baby food jar would be like just mashed chicken curry.
Yeah.
And like a pure puree.
I don't know. Get them used to spices, I guess. Sure.
I guess. Yeah. Definitely interesting. Okay. So tomorrow is Halloween. And so my question is, give me a best costume that you or your family have had or worn together, and an absolute like worst cringy costume that you will never ever wear.
Oh. Well, so for 1 year, my husband and I, while we were dating, I was Poison Ivy and he was the Riddler. And we like really
Fine.
did well with it. Like we went all out. I had the green ivy up and down my arms. I bought a wig. I looked up a makeup tutorial. I had my nails done for it. I put like a felt question mark on a purple hat, like a gold one on a purple hat for him. And like he had like the suit, purple and everything, like the Jim Carrey. The Jim
Yeah.
Carrey, yeah. And then Nicole Kidman back then. So 90s Batman. We
Mhm.
did that and that was really fun. I, for 1 year, was my friend and I in college. I don't know if I would call this cringy, but it was just fun. There's a picture of this somewhere that one of my college roommates probably has. But 1 year we dressed up for Thanksgiving and also Halloween. But 1 year we dressed up for Thanksgiving and we dressed up as the Thanksgiving meal, and I dressed up as canned cranberry sauce, but I didn't have like a circle for like the ocean spray canned stuff, so I just used a box and covered it
Okay.
in aluminum foil, and I had like a red sweater on, and then I put like I drew the ocean spray and I stuck it on the front. I wouldn't say that it was like so cringe I wouldn't do it again because like I don't really think I have a meter for that, but I would say that I can't think of another time that I would need to dress up as cranberry sauce, particularly. So
If your
it was
son
a lot of
ever needs
fun.
a step in a play.
Well, we had like a Thanksgiving party. It was
Yeah.
like a college Thanksgiving party where people were like needed to dress up as something from Thanksgiving in some form or fashion, which was
Hmm.
great. Most people, of course, were like pilgrims or Indians, as normal people would. But no,
You were
I was like, I will be
cranberry
cranberry
sauce.
sauce. Yes. It was great. It was
That's
hysterically
funny.
funny. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. What about you?
All right. 1 year, my husband really loves cowboys. It's just like his thing. Like he loves cowboys. So
Really?
he was a cowboy and I was a bar wench. It was actually kind of fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's
It was
cute.
it was a good costume. It looked good. We had the fishnets, I made the makeup dramatic and the feathers and stuff.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
Fun.
I was a prostitute. It was great. But bar wench is better. It
Then
sounds better. Yeah.
brothel featured act. Okay, got it.
Yes. So that was fun. We don't do a whole lot of dress up, but let's see. One that was really cringy. And this was just college. In college, you're like, or I just think of like Mean Girls. It's like, I want to be anything. I'm just going to make it sexy by like
Yeah,
wearing
all the
nothing but
things.
putting
Yeah.
ears on. So me and one of my college friends, we decided to do the purge. But we were like,
Oh, the purge, but
yeah,
make it sexy?
yeah, basically. Yeah, we were just purgers, but it was when Purge came out, or
Yeah,
what
that was
wasn't the
huge.
first. I don't think it was the first one. It might have been the second or the third one because it was like 2015, 2016. And it's like cool. And then we're just, Halloween's big in downtown Orlando
It is.
when, with the bars and everything. So it's like
Mhm.
cool. We look like purgers marching around bars. It was like very like pick me, like, pick me girls, like, just look at
Yeah.
me. I look slutty. So I'll be like, that wasn't the brightest decision in my lifetime in terms of
Oh,
like,
sure you got plenty of attention.
oh yeah, very much unwanted. I mean, I guess the whole point was to get attention. Definitely the whole point was to get attention. It's never the attention
Well, it
that you want
worked.
though. It did. It
Yeah.
did. It was a night. It was a night that was had. And that's
There you
that's
go.
it. I will probably never be a purger again, and that's fine. My
Okay.
daughter does not need to see me like that.
Okay. Bar wench it is. Got it.
Bar wench it is. It's a little bit better. All right. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next on Book Club After Dark.
Next week, we're diving into book 2 in the Into Darkness trilogy, because that's the second one that we have out, of course. And it's called Caught Up, and it's by Navessa Allen. So we're looking forward to continuing to dissect this with you. Yeah, tune in.
And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on Lights Out or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art theories or anything bookish you'd like to share.
You can also visit our website, bookclubafterdark.co, to stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch.
That's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.